Caribbean's Utopia of the Seas is here, and after sailing on it for a couple of nights, here are the things I liked and didn't like about Utopia of the Seas. Here we go. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. I love new cruise ships, and when it comes to Royal Caribbean's new ships, there's always something interesting and enticing about what these ships have to offer. Utopia of the Seas might be Royal Caribbean's 6th Oasis-class ship, but don't let that fool you. It is not a copy and paste job. In fact, there are a lot of things that Royal Caribbean tweaked, added, and adjusted on board, and I gotta say, there are a few that really stood out to me. First and foremost, the Royal Railway. Now, I gotta be honest, before I did this list, I probably would have guessed that the Royal Railway would have made my list here, but this new immersive dining experience really impressed me. Royal Railway is a dining experience in which you board a classic train car and feel like you're actually on a train going, in this case, to the Old West. But it's more than just that, because Royal Railway is truly a platform for a lot of ideas that Royal Caribbean has. The Wild West theme is its first iteration. But what makes this really interesting is the fact that it's an immersive dining experience. So the sights, sounds, and tastes all work together to make it seem like you're actually on an old classic train. And this is a great example of Royal Caribbean's dreaming ability. The sort of idea that really you wouldn't expect to find on a cruise ship, but Royal Caribbean dreams it up and then actually makes it happen. You get a real train ticket in your room, in which you bring to the restaurant, and then essentially when you're there, you go and there's a classic train station platform with a flipboard and separately numbered dining cars and actual real train steam. This is as much a show as it is a dining opportunity, because when you get there, there's a time to board your train, just like a real train, and once you're on board, you're there for the duration of the meal. You're going to have characters, and there's a story being told, and amazing sights all around you. Using a lot of digital effects, it really sets the tone to make you feel like you're actually on a train. I really think this has so much potential, and I'm excited not only to do the Wild West theme again on a future cruise, but also see the new ideas, because Royal Caribbean's already talked about the fact that the next show, which will debut sometime like around 45 days or so after Utopia of the Seas begins service, they're going to add a Silk Routes option, which is going to have the Far East, and then they're also going to be adding other themes as time progresses. In fact, there's plans for about 3 or 4 different shows, a whiskey tasting, brunch options. I think when we look at this, perhaps a year from now, or even beyond that, I really think that Royal Railway is really going to impress, and I really like this quite a bit. Number 2 on my list is actually the Pesky Parrot. And I think the Pesky Parrot is fun. So the Pesky Parrot is a brand new tiki bar that's on Utopia of the Seas. Now, Royal Caribbean has done tiki bars before. If you've been on Navigator of the Seas or Mariner of the Seas, they have tiki bars there with the bamboo room, but this is completely different. It's certainly much bigger, much more open, and a lot more fun. I really like the vibe here a lot. Maybe it's because it's not quite as dark as the bamboo room is, or perhaps the location on the Royal Promenade on an Oasis-class ship really makes it stand out. I like the fact there are a lot more drink options here, and I just think the ambiance and the way that they presented it with the Pesky Parrot is a real winner, and it's the kind of bar you actually want to go back to again. Remember, this replaced the Bionic Bar, which is a bar that I really was like one and done, so this is a huge win. Next up is something that almost didn't make my liked list, and that's the destination elevator. So when Icon of the Seas came out, they have destination elevators, and they were a real game changer. On Utopia, I don't think they're quite as effective as they are on Icon in terms of, minimizing waits, so to speak. But I do think they're certainly better than the traditional elevators, number 1. Number 2, it's actually easier to get some of the top decks, like Deck 17, in which case a traditional elevator would only have certain elevator cars that go there. But I really think that it just works better. It's certainly a step up, not quite as effective as the ones on Icon, but I do think it's worthy of making this list. Next up on my list are the revamped restaurants, Izumi and Giovanni's. So Izumi and Giovanni's really aren't different. We'll get to one difference with Izumi, but go with me on this one. These are existing concepts that Royal Caribbean has revamped on Utopia of the Seas. And on paper, it really doesn't seem like that, but my goodness, the locations and the expansions of these venues truly stood out. Giovanni's is absolutely beautiful. It's located on deck 11 and 12 now, and it overlooks the boardwalk. And if you can ever get out there during one of the months in which there's not 100% humidity in Florida, I think it's actually a really great place to have a meal. Of course, inside still has spectacular views as well. And then, of course, you have the great Giovanni's food that I always liked. We talked earlier about how the destination elevators were something that were better on Icon. In this case, Giovanni's is way better on Utopia than Icon, because on Icon, being in the Royal Promenade, it's not great location for that. But here with this new space, which essentially on other Oasis-class ships was where Wonderland was located, this is such a home run. I really think they did a great job with that. And then Izumi is just plain massive. So I love Izumi. I've talked about Izumi for a long time. But what's really cool about this is this feels like a land restaurant. And why that's important is because it really gives the depth of what this restaurant can offer. You have the hibachi. In fact, there's actually more hibachi tables than ever before. You've got sushi, which of course is the staple of Izumi. And on top of all that, they have the new omakase dining experience, which essentially is like a chef's table for Japanese cuisine. So if you're like me and you love Izumi, you love sushi more importantly, and you're just all about that, then the great idea here is that you can actually go and get something that's elevated beyond what the usual menu fare has to offer. It's certainly for the adventurous eater, and I really think this is going to check a couple of boxes for anybody that's truly looking for something different. I've got to give an honorable mention on this list to the entertainment, the shows that are available, the new activities. In fairness, I didn't actually see these shows yet because I wanted to wait for my wife to get on board so we could experience it together. I know, aw. But I got to tell you, everybody that I've been talking to on board Utopia really has been raving about the shows on there. And let's face it, Royal Caribbean's entertainment is always top notch. It's actually what I think truly separates Royal Caribbean from other cruise lines out there. So I got to give an honorable mention there and the acknowledgement that maybe if I was doing this video in a week or two, I might have a different list. But I want to put that there because I don't want anybody to sleep on the entertainment. It is really, really good. So the last thing that's on my liked list is the Mason Jar. And to quote Toby Keith, I like this bar. From the drinks to the entertainment to the views, I think Royal Caribbean has truly found one of its best ideas, and it really resonates. You know, the Mason Jar is not new. It came over on Wonder of the Seas. And here on Utopia of the Seas, it's mostly the same, but it's a real home run. And something that if you're going on Utopia of the Seas, I think for your evening entertainment, this is your must-go-to place. I'm a big fan of the pub and the schooner bar players. They're great. But I think you're really doing yourself a disservice if you're not up at the Mason Jar enjoying the live music over there, because the country trio that performs there almost every night of the cruise really is impressive, and it just adds something to it. And something that, I don't know, maybe because we don't have that kind of music elsewhere in the rest of the fleet, and there's a bit of a novelty to it, but there's just something you don't have to be a huge country fan to truly love, and the Mason Jar is a must-go-to place every night of my cruise. As for the things I didn't like on Utopia of the Seas, I think number one has got to be Playmakers. Not that I don't like Playmakers, but the outdoor location just doesn't work for a cruise ship that's really in Florida, which is a very warm and humid place most of the year. Playmakers, just like on other Oasis-class ships, is outdoors, and there's an open air element to it, and it can get very sticky out there. Now, there is air conditioning that blows in there, but it quickly blows out, so, you might have a little bit of that feeling to help a little bit, but, man, I just miss an indoor location. Like Playmakers on the Freedom-class ships or the Quantum-class ships is so much better, and I kind of regret ever going into Playmakers on Utopia, because every time I walked in there, I said to myself, oh, this is just not fun. This is too sticky. I need to get out of here. And so I think that's a missed opportunity. I do think they actually would have been better having it closed off the same way that Johnny Rockets in the indoor seating is closed off. I just don't think an outdoor experience for Playmakers works for most of the year. And the last thing I didn't love about Utopia of the Seas is, of course, some of the crowding that can occur. I talked about the destination elevators and they help a little bit. But embarkation day, even on a media cruise that I was on, in which there's 60 or 70% capacity, which is really low, still felt extremely crowded. Crowds on cruise ships are not new by any means. They happen on a lot of different ships out there. But after going on Icon in the season, I hate to keep comparing Utopia to Icon, but here I am doing it again. The reality is crowd flow was so much better on that ship. And so to go on a new ship now that doesn't quite have that flow that Icon had, I felt like that was kind of like this is a thing still on here. And unfortunately, I didn't love it. So is it a big deal? No. Because, of course, embarkation day is fleeting. And quite frankly, I don't spend that much time on the Royal Promenade on embarkation day. I try to get out of the way and maybe go to my cabin or go to the pool deck, somewhere else I can just avoid the crowd until everything kind of settles down once we get to sail away. But it's a noticeable thing, and I gotta say that it wasn't my favorite thing about Utopia of the Seas. So there you have it, a list of 5 things that I liked and 2 I didn't like about Utopia of the Seas. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on that. Am I crazy? Did I miss something that truly should have made this list? Let me know in the comments below. While you're down below our video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications. That way, YouTube lets you know of a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. We'll talk again real soon.